Last night as I was going to sleep, I watched Smallville Season 6, Episode 8, Static. Normally I don't enjoy episodes that don't feature Clark much, but I tend to just skip the parts without Clark because it tends to just be, boring exposition or something. I don't know. But this one wasn't. It was really good. It was, the main actions were Lex and Lana Lex was kidnapped, and so Lana working with Chloe. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it, because Chloe was actually in it. I tend to enjoy things with Chloe. First 2 seasons, not so much, but now she's one of my favorites. So Lex is kidnapped by Static. He's a patient that Lex has been experimenting on from Belle Reve, and this guy, he can jump into radio waves, so he kidnaps Lex into a radio wave, and so then he's missing, and Lana decides that she doesn't really care about all the double guessing and mistrust that's been in their relationship. She just wants Lex, and she's pregnant at this point. So it comes out in the episode, she tells him that she's pregnant, and at the end he proposes. We don't see her response. So that's the episode. It was what struck me most was, again, seeing the side of Luther that we can like. The part that when he's honest, we like him. But there was a moment when he was talking to Lana, he's like, you can trust me. And the thing is that she's like, yes, I know, but she's trying to decide if she should tell him about the baby and everything. And it's like, Lionel's wife literally killed her second son so that he wouldn't be subjected to the same type of parenting that Lex was subjected to. So is Lana willing, and she doesn't know this, but she knows that Lex is not an ideal person, and she knows that Lionel was a terrible father. So is she willing to subject her future child to Lex's upbringing, and what is that going to bring about? There's a lot of questions like that in the air right now, and whether or not Lana chooses, she ends up telling him about the baby, but I'm not even sure that was the right choice. I also don't know if there is a right choice. If she tried to get away from him, there's no way she could, and he'd end up just turning against her. Especially, he'd end up choosing the child. In this episode, I think, I don't remember if it was this one or the last one, she gave him an ultimatum. She's like, choose me or choose this other thing. And the thing was destroyed. I guess it was the last episode. The thing was destroyed before he could make a choice. So he's like, he's like, do you really think I wouldn't have chosen you? But that type of question, that do you really think, that's how Lionel always talks to Lex when he's actually lying about something. So really, if Lana's going to lay down any kind of ultimatum, it needs to be, don't use that language with me. But she doesn't know. There's no way for her, she's not going to a psychiatrist about this. She's not going to somebody who can help them work through their issues. She's just trying to work through it herself. So the chances of her being able to actually see clearly enough to help him become a better person are very low. She's trying to meet him where he's at. And in some ways that's going fine. In some ways I think she's actually stepping into her own. But in other ways you can see that she's only going to be able to get so far in that field unless she's willing to go totally evil, because Lex himself is willing to go totally evil. So there's nothing wrong with being confident and with holding other people accountable, and even threatening someone who you think might turn against you, not with death or anything, but just with hey, by the way, there will be consequences if you turn against us. That's not negative intrinsically, but it can be if you're willing to just go further and further and further. And I don't think there's much to keep Lana back from doing that, because she doesn't have anyone else to hold her accountable. I don't think her ties with Chloe are strong enough to keep her accountable in that field. I think she'd end up just choosing Lex and getting sucked into evil, which is what she talked to Chloe about in a previous episode recently, that she's nervous that she's going to end up becoming that way. So I don't know. We'll see if she ends up that way. We'll see which way she goes, if having a baby is going to spell her ruin or her betterment. And I don't know if it'll spell ruin morally or physically. I think it will be one of those two things is the most likely outcome. I think she's going to die, honestly. I think she will end up dying. And I'm not sure what's going to happen to the baby. So those are my thoughts on that episode, but I thought it was a really good episode. I thought it was very well done. It was a very convincing way to put Lana and Lex together, especially after all the mistrust that's been building between them. It didn't seem likely that they would last very long, but now I think they will. So that's kind of frustrating, but it's also, there's like some part of me that still roots for them, which is frustrating because obviously I know they can't be happy together. And you see that like when things are calm, they're not happy together. When things are in crisis, then he comes through. And that brings me back to my original point. You can trust me. Well, what does trust actually mean? He can trust her, or she can trust him to what? When he found out about Clark's secret, she couldn't trust him. Clark literally had to reverse time because of it. She can trust him to keep secrets. I think what it is that he's saying that you can trust me to still love you no matter what you say. And I think to some extent that's true. But like, in what way? Can he trust her? Can she trust him to show her love every moment and to seek to do what is best for her over and above other things? No, because he's only going to see her physical well-being as the most important thing. So he will kill other people in order to keep her physically safe. He will kill other people in order to keep her emotionally safe, emotionally unscathed, and that is not okay. So she can't actually trust him. But I think that just the idea, Lex puts so much emphasis on trust that he fails to realize, and Lana's at this point too, that they both fail to realize that it's not just to be able to trust somebody in general, but to be able to know what you trust them with and why you're trusting them. And that's where Clark really shines, and his father always shone, was that if somebody told them something, that you could trust that they would make the right decision when it came down to it. That they would seek to make the right decision. Maybe they wouldn't make the right decision, but they would seek to. And if they found out that they were wrong, they would repent of that. That's not the case for Lex, and it's not. And for Lana, it's beginning to be more about, she's taken on this personhood of, this is getting really long. I need to finish this up. She's taking on this personhood of just emotionally supporting other people all the time, to the point where she doesn't know how to actually be a good person on her own. And she doesn't know where to turn to somebody to find that out. So she's not seeking for mentors. She's seeking for someone in whom to find her personhood. And that's Lex. And I think that's why she told Chloe she was afraid of being with him and afraid of losing her personhood, because she has done that before. She has lost her personhood in every single boyfriend. We saw it all the way back when she was with Whitney, and she wouldn't leave him, even when she knew she should, because he needed me. I can't leave him now. That was a trend that was set up all the way back then, and it's paying off now in her relationship with Lex, that she can't leave him because emotionally he might need her. She can keep him on the straight and narrow, but that's only going to last for so long, because if Lex is looking for his personhood in her, he's not going to find it. And if she's looking for her personhood in Lex, she's not going to find it. They have to look for it in themselves, and look for it in something beyond themselves and each other. And that's where the relationship is going to collapse. So I'm curious to see where they take this. Those are my thoughts on Season 6, Episode 8, Static.